Guys, back with another episode, and today I wanted to hit on something that I think I might have mentioned in the past, like in passing maybe, but there's a certain time when everyone needs to realize it's not a good time for them to be making decisions. Um, Everyone has like their limit as to certain times of the day and certain environments they're in where they aren't making the best decisions for themselves or the people around them. For most people, these times come either when they're drinking and partying or real late at night, like after 1 a.m., 2 a.m. There's kind of a joke rule of thumb thing that people say where it's to don't text people after 1 a.m. because usually anyone you start texting after 1 a.m., you're not making a good decision. Um, so these are I guess in this episode I'm going to talk about what I think that time period is for me and why you shouldn't, what you can do to kind of avoid those situations. Again, like I say in a lot of my episodes, I'm not an expert on anything ever. I'm studying to be a civil engineer, and even if you ask me a civil engineering question, I would never call myself an expert on that, even though I've been studying it for the past 4 years. But anyway, just to give my 2 cents, when it comes to like the time period for me where I know if I start reaching out to people or doing things and making decisions, it's not a good time to be doing that, is when I'm like alone in my room, just hanging out, nothing to do, bored. So if I'm just kind of, basically it's when I'm alone with my thoughts for too long is when I start thinking, oh, you know what, let me text this person who I haven't talked to in a year, or, oh, I kind of lost touch with this person I used to talk to a lot. Let me try reaching out to them. Yeah, usually there's reasons why you're not reaching out to that person anymore, or if they haven't bothered to reach out to you, then usually, especially if you've in the past reached out to them, that's a big one for me. Is there's people in my life I was very close with, good friends with, and after I stopped reaching out to them for a little while, like, going a month without texting them, even though I used to reach out a lot, they never bothered reaching out to me. So those are the kind of people where a lot of times either they're busy and that's understandable, or maybe they're not the right person to have in your life. Again, this is my opinion on things, but I don't think chasing after people is a way to have friends or people in your life. But yeah, basically, when I'm alone, my thoughts too long is when I make dumb decisions like reaching out to people I shouldn't, or doing things like last night, I was alone with my thoughts and bored for way too long. So I downloaded 4 new dating apps because I was curious to see what the differences were with, the popular dating apps like Tinder, Bumble, whatever. So I downloaded, I don't know the names of them. It was, one of them might have been Plenty of Fish, just random apps. Clover, I think, was the name of one of them. But yeah, my point is, in hindsight, I recognize that's not a good decision. That's not a healthy choice to make at 2 a.m. when you're alone with your thoughts and bored. And that's, I'm talking about this because I feel like it's something that I'm not preaching and saying, oh, you shouldn't do this. This is an issue I have. And I'm sure that if anyone ever watches any of these videos, they're going to be like, yeah, you know what? I'm probably the same way in some respect. Maybe not to that extent, but I'm sure people would relate to what I'm talking about. So obviously, best way to solve this situation is just to avoid these times and situations as much as possible. For example, with me, since it's usually me being alone with my thoughts in my room alone way too long, my solution has always been I pretty much only stay in my dorm room or my bedroom to sleep. I don't hang out in my room. I don't like just chill in my room for hours on end usually. I leave my room at usually around 9 a.m.-ish. And then I don't come back till like 9 p.m. And yeah, I spend a lot of time from like 9 p.m. till whenever I fall asleep around 2 a.m. And that's me mostly watching Netflix and reading news and going through social media, things like that. But as long as I keep myself occupied, I don't consider it the same as if I'm just kind of hanging out in my room, especially after like 9 a.m. on a weekend. If I'm still hanging out in my room, chances are I'm not going to be making good decisions. The other solution, if you're not able to avoid the situation you're in, for example, there's some people that, they're young, they want to go out to parties and things like that, but parties isn't a good situation for them to be in. Best solution is just to keep your phone away from you or turn it off or whatever you have to do. I know they've come out with apps where it's like, oh, you could put this app in your phone, and when you drink, if you activate this app, it'll make sure that you don't start texting random people, or you can only text your core group of friends that you're going out with, things like that. I think things like that could be very helpful for people, especially if that's your kind of situation where you're not in the right state of mind. And even though you go in thinking, you know what, let me make sure I don't text anyone, after a few drinks or after partying for a bit, you might think otherwise, even though you're not in the best state of mind. So that's a very quick fix kind of thing, is if you're in one of those situations where you know you're not going to be making good decisions, usually if you take the phone out of the equation, a lot of your issues are resolved. You minimize your range of impact, let's call it. So yeah, that's my, I guess, quick tips on an issue that I don't have a solution for yet myself, because I still, succumb to the same problems. But it is what it is. At least the biggest thing is you kind of have to recognize the situation. Like, think about when you make your bad decisions, and at the very least recognize what time periods those are, what state of mind you're in, so that you can hopefully avoid them in the future. But with that, this is going to be a short episode, but I'm going to wrap it up here. I'll talk to you all tomorrow, and thanks for watching.